Media in the United States operates as a private enterprise system. News organizations are businesses owned by corporations or wealthy individuals. Businesses that seek profit and must attract audiences and advertisers to survive. The government's role is primarily regulatory, not proprietary. Let me unpack what that means. The Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, licenses broadcast stations, radio, and television, enforces rules about ownership concentration, and administers the public interest obligations that broadcasters accept in exchange for their licenses. But the FCC does not license print or online media, which enjoy full First Amendment protection and are not subject to ownership or content regulation beyond the general law of defamation, copyright, and fraud. So we have a regulatory system that's actually quite light touch by international standards. The major issue in this regulatory environment is media consolidation. Over the last 40 years, ownership of American media has dramatically concentrated. A small number of large corporations now own the majority of major broadcast networks, cable news channels, newspaper chains, and digital media companies, the six largest media conglomerates, though the specific list shifts through mergers and acquisitions, control an enormous share of the content Americans consume. Consolidation creates real conflicts of interest. A media company that owns both entertainment studios and news organizations, or that has major financial relationships with industries it covers, may face pressure to shape coverage in ways that serve its corporate interests. And there's a deeper, more systemic concern that political scientists call commercial bias, the tendency to favor coverage that attracts large audiences and valuable advertisers regardless of its journalistic significance. Commercial bias operates as a structural distortion of news judgment even without any specific instance of editorial interference by ownership. Now, the newest dimension of the ownership debate is the concentration of social media power in a handful of technology platforms: Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram; Alphabet, which owns Google and YouTube; ByteDance, which owns TikTok; and X, formerly Twitter. These companies function as a distribution infrastructure for a large share of political news and information. And here's the consequential point. These platforms make editorial decisions through their algorithms about what content to amplify, suppress, or label as misleading. As we covered in Chapter 6, the platform's First Amendment right to make these editorial decisions has been affirmed by the courts in cases challenging state laws that sought to require platforms to carry content they would otherwise remove. So we have a situation where private companies with opaque algorithmic curation, no meaningful regulatory oversight, and enormous influence over the political information environment function as the de facto gatekeepers of modern political communication. That raises questions about accountability and democratic oversight that existing regulatory frameworks are poorly equipped to address. We're operating with a regulatory regime built for the broadcast era, while the substance of political communication has migrated entirely outside that regime.